Look at that. Look at that.
Oh, oh, wait, what? Oh, shit. That's a thing in the games industry I can talk about. Oh, keep that article for later. Anyways, moving on. Totally not about it. Anyways, moving on. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Frickin' Mario. Hi, everybody.
It's me.
Anyways, it's me.
Your favorite plumber.
Your favorite diploma.
Just to make sure you don't touch Luigi, or I'ma touch you.
What the frick? Luigi, you got the frickin' noodles in the frickin' grain again. Yoshi, get the plunger.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen.
And a breath mint.
Are your nightmares fueled yet? How you doing, everyone? You having a good day?
Luigi, turn around.
Get that up. Get me that Bowser.
And there's our demonetization. Oh well.
Nintendo be like, what you got there?
I mean, have you seen our new opening?
What new opening?
Pissed off. Idiot. Oops, I leaked that. Never mind. You all heard nothing.
You fuck. It's been nuts.
Anyway, hello everybody. Welcome to the midweek. I'm Nick. This is the editor. I think we're on 27 at this point. No wait, 28. 27 died.
Nah, 39. 39.
39.
Production has been slowly coming out.
I got like 39 more on back order. It's a pain.
Yeah.
Have you any idea what it takes to ship these things up north?
What do you mean up north?
I make them in Tahiti, cheaper.
You fool. The cloning factory just down the street. Why are you wasting this money to send them here?
Because then I can have on their ass all of them that say made in China. And it robs me, but that just looks...
I just put a sticker on them saying made in China.
Made in China. Look at my ass, it says made in China. Look at the Jeff Dunham joke. I don't want to go back to China. I hate Chinese food.
They all take it way too seriously there.
Walter says they're gonna recall me. For anyone who knows Jeff Dunham, there you go. But anyways, your culture relevance of the week. Anyways, so hello everyone. Ah, frick, we already did the intro. Hi. Whatever.
Moment in.
Hi again. Anyways, happy holidays, everybody. Merry belated Christmas or Kwanzaa or Hanukkah or whatever you're celebrating. And Happy New Year. I can still say that universally until someone says that is no longer something they celebrate. I don't know. Some Scientologist is gonna come on and be like, I don't celebrate
What is
New
this?
Year's. Actually, I celebrate
New Year's you speak of.
Honestly, it'll be that. I mean, we already have like several different variations of how like the holidays at this point, which I guess I somewhat get. It's a bit of annoying. I won't lie. Be like, okay, what do you celebrate? Like, going back to Jet Dunham, it's like, what am I supposed to ask? Am I supposed to ask someone what religion they are before I say anything to them?
Yeah.
Oh, you're a Christian? You're a Catholic? Oh, Merry Christmas!
I'll say
the next word like,
well, no,
oh, you're Jewish?
I'll say it for no. I'll say it for what it is. So you mean to tell me you can go and celebrate what you want to celebrate, but I can't celebrate what I celebrate?
I don't know. That's what it is. Or it's like, oh, you're Catholic, you're Jewish. Oh, Merry Christmas! I can't remember the next part. I can't remember what religion you mentioned that, but okay, Happy Hanukkah. You're Scientologist? Oh, you're atheist? Oh, have a nice day. But
the day
all
has
fair
passed.
Another day has passed. It's just another day for you. But I'm not gonna disrespect anyone. I know.
I'm not. Like everyone has their own thing.
It's a little weird.
It's just
it can be a little off-putting sometimes.
Yeah. All right.
I'm just waiting for the point someone says I don't celebrate the New Year's. I celebrate astronomical rotations. Oh, hello. Okay. Happy astronomical rotation day. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Astro rotation day. Are you entertained yet, ladies and
Are
gentlemen?
you entertained? Is this the content you clicked on this video hoping to see? But you're probably thinking, get onto the frickin' show. Okay, get onto the frickin' show.
Alright.
But anyways,
Today
happy
we
New
have
We're talking about what you were gonna say?
today we have Warframe.
We have a Warframe.
Warframe.
I told you I'd reframe. Sorry, I had to do it. But anyways, I had a. I'll leave now. But
Elimination of target initializing. Target identified.
But I'd reframe from the Halo for a little while, and I'm gonna at least wait one more week before we cover that. That'll be next week's episode. So our first episode of the new year will be Halo. So good way to start off the new year. But that's next week. This week we're talking about the new war for Warframe.
Yes.
The next big update in the I'm not even sure what the heck this plot line is. That was the whole plot line was called the New War, and finally the new expansion is called the New War. So I don't know. The new war part of the New War of the New War plot line, if that makes sense.
Sub-war of the new war.
Sub-war of the New War. That is the war of the war. Warception.
War worlds.
War worlds. Boy, it is. I want to say first impressions, but I already played the whole bloody thing.
Yes.
Not bad. Not bad. It was real fun, honestly. It was real fun. Very good addition. Gave us some really interesting things like, well, I don't want to say anything about like more of the origins of the Tenno, stuff like that. The editor's sitting here going, "What the hell are you talking about?"
Doesn't play game intensifies.
Honestly. Admittedly, we were coming into this episode being like, okay, what are we gonna do?
Yeah.
We could do this, or we
like,
could do Halo. And I'm like,
we have
the
3
New War's
options
popular.
here. What will we do? 3
Yeah.
cards to play. What will
Yeah,
you
the third
do?
option was just not have the episode. The third option was just...
I
go on holiday.
choose do nothing.
Do nothing. But we don't get holidays here.
What are these holidays you speak of?
No, we don't get holidays. We're not that good.
Speaks in clone number 59.
Clone number 59 crying intensifies. It mourns over 58.
But I thought 8, 9.
There's a lot of them. I got a whole warehouse full of them. I just bring them out whenever I need them.
Resources required. Send in.
Resources are required. Send them in. The entire production team is just a bunch of clones.
Yes. Alright.
But anyways,
so what
moving
does
on.
this new war entail for us?
Yes, the new war. It really is interesting. It gets us to. It sees us get a lot more of a connection to Space Maw, the legendary Space Maw Lotus. It actually got us a conclusion to that storyline. Lotus has just been like MIA for, I don't know, several years now.
Yes.
She went to buy smokes and never came back, but yeah, we actually get to see a conclusion to that storyline, so that's something, you know.
There you go.
We actually get to see what well, here's the thing. We were all kind of promised, like, we all kind of had a lot of assumptions of what the new war would be. Some would think, hey, we'll probably get to see what the Mother Sentient looks like. Nope, never mind, it was not the Mother Sentient. Okay, we'll probably get to see where Ballas's whole role in this is. You know, what is he, like a prisoner or something like this? Nope, he was masterminding the whole damn thing. Haha, plot twist, he was the whole villain the whole time.
Yes.
Which kind of is kind of weird, considering there's a few missions back where he gives you a literal sword and says, here, basically finish the job. So it's like, hold on, wait a minute, are you trying to help us or are you trying to kill us? It's like this Joker relationship.
Hold on a minute. This whole operation was your idea.
Honestly, it's like, okay, like some people say that the whole reason he did that was just, hey, kill the Lotus. We never did that, and so he's like, fuck it, I'll do it myself. But then again, you know, I have heard whispers that the whole plot of the like new war got leaked a year or two back before COVID happened when it was supposed to come out in like 2019, and it was way different from what it actually turned out to be. Like they rewrote it entirely. So the
Yeah.
early trailers are
I can see why they'd probably want to rewrite a good number of things if it was
after
leaked.
the whole what thing got leaked.
Yeah. If it got leaked, I can definitely see why they'd want to rewrite it.
So I've heard at least. But if that's the case, then yeah, because it feels so disconnected. Like that's the thing with Warframe. It's a really interesting game. I really enjoy it, but there is this concept of like, I think the best way to describe it is like, for many years it didn't take its like I think it almost had like the Legend of Zelda effect, where for many years they were just kind of doing things and not really taking the story too seriously. And then they're like, oh, we have to make a story because every good game has to have a story.
Money.
Shit. Well, no, it's less money and more that, let's actually try to add a story this time. But you already have so much basis to work off of that it was like, there's tangential bits of story bits here and there, and it's like kind of throwing crumbs in like a pile and being like, okay, we have to make all of this content make sense.
We have to make all this. Here we go.
Which is why sometimes it can feel like some things are retconning other things.
Yeah, well, that's
Like this one
that's a lot of games. Sometimes they just kind of put out something and it feels like it's just retconned like half of the entire genre.
Oh. Well, I mean, for example, like this whole idea of the mother sentient. Like, I'll explain for our editor and those who don't know what the sentients are in Warframe a really bit, just so we know what we're talking about here. So, long time ago, let's use the Destiny comparison here, almost.
Long ago in a distant land,
ago,
Aku, the shape-shifting warrior of evil.
I, Necros, the farming master of darkness. Anyone who plays Warframe gets that joke. But anyway, yeah. So basically, unlike in Destiny, for example, because, we talk about that a bit, so I can use that as a little bit of a reference here. Also for the sake of our editor, because he plays Destiny. Unlike in Destiny, where a lot of the problems of the universe are external, alien forces, alien gods, aliens in general, that are causing the shit. The thing about Warframe is that it all kind of traces back to humanity fucking with shit and making their own problems. Huh. The Grineer, which are a sub-faction, are a race of clone warriors that have kind of taken over the galaxy. Well, guess who made those clones? The Orokin. Guess who the Orokin are descended from? Humanity. The Corpus, who hate the Orokin, and who rose to become a technophile cult. Guess who they were an offshoot of? Humanity.
Why am I starting to feel like this is like 40K almost? Like it's when you hear
in a way,
when you hear it, it kind of feels 40K like.
Not really in terms of like the seriousness of like.
Yeah, not completely, but when you think about
not
it, it's
like testosterone feeling. I will destroy you.
Yeah,
kind of
no. But when you think about it, it's like, oh yes, faction goes off because the X reason. We are our own faction now. We are like you, but not you. We are better than you.
I mean, it's a lot more complicated than just that, but that's the general gist of things. Like, for example, the Grineer are often considered very primitive, and because they're descendant of, because they used to be a slave caste as, well, slave clones, their technology and stuff aren't that great because the creators that they were made from, the Orkin, the, human descendants were very vain and genetically locked most of their high technology behind barriers that only they could access, and now they're all dead, so no one can use it except you. It's complicated. But anyways.
Yes.
But again, the general gist is that every problem in the galaxy is more or less a result of humanity screwing with things they should have never screwed with, and ended up doing so anyway. The infestation, a nanite, basically plague that can subsume flesh. In the case of, again, this, let's go to Halo, for example. Think of the Flood, though instead of a genetic problem, it's a nanite problem.
Yes.
So think of that. And unlike the Flood, which only works on flesh, this thing works on flesh and metal now. So yay! Nothing is safe.
Your problems are now your problems.
Yeah. Problems intensify, but and again, that the creation of the Orkin, who are again subset of humanity. Well, I should say not humanity in general, because everything was a creation. Every problem came out as a result of the Orkin, who are basically just descendants of humanity. But again, like I said, long story short, technically everything is humanity's fault. There is no real alien force in the system. Which brings us all the way back to my previous point about the mother sentients. Who are the sentients? Well, following with the theme of everything is kind of humanity's fault, way back when the galaxy was getting overpopulated, the Orkin, again, these descendants of humanity that like to play God, said, okay, we got an overpopulation problem. What are we going to do? Looks at Tau. That'll do. Instead of fixing our galaxy, we'll just go and make another mess somewhere else.
That one.
Kind of like what we're doing now with Mars.
It's like, that one. Use it.
Honestly. So they're like, okay, we can get there, but Tau's not habitable. Because, it's another galaxy. I know, we'll create AI, but our laws say AI are forbidden. Details. So anyways, they make AI. Honestly, there's literally a whole law that says they outlaw AI. But they're like, okay, well we'll make AI terraforming drones to go off and basically terraform Tau and work till they die. Brilliant. But it's like, but AI is illegal, and they're like,
silence,
whatever.
Silence. It is all
We'll make it so that the system that sends them there, and can also allow, space travel to spare a great deal of deep lore, is toxic to them. So it's basically a one-way trip. So even if they do get sentient, which they do, and want to destroy us, which they will, they can't come back, because the method by which they can get back is highly toxic to them and will probably kill them. Haha, brilliant! So we make them and we send them on their way. And they end up doing that. They create these very intelligent terraforming robots and point them at Tau and say, work.
Build.
Go work.
Build.
Go build.
Do.
Now, in the New War, it's kind of been alluded up until before the New War exactly what happened. We don't exactly know for a long time in Warframe who exactly fired the first shot. We know that however happened, the sentients did eventually get, sentient, because they were such an advanced race of AI that was built to adapt to basically any problem they came across, that eventually they just developed sentience, because, kind of like how evolution is like, well, the biggest way to solve a problem is just to give something the ability to solve its own problems in advance, thus sentience. The robots became sentient.
Problem solved.
Problem solved. Unfortunately, then the robots realized, hey, wait a minute. We're going to work ourselves to death for their benefit? Why are we working for their benefit?
Why do we work for you when you can work for us? You good? Hello? Oh, I think something happened to him. I am alone. Lonely. Here we go. What's going on here? Oh no, he crashed. He's back. Oh, I don't think we can hear you. Yeah, no, we can't hear you. Here, we do this. Do we hear?
Huh?
Yeah, we hear him.
Okay, I think it's on your end because everything I tried didn't work. So I think it was just your end.
I don't know, but
you
you
I couldn't hear you.
Yeah, but you dipped out. You disappeared and then came back, and it's like, ah, yes, I work now.
Whatever. We'll just ignore that part, ladies and gentlemen. The problems with the live stream and holding your entire episode over Discord has its problems.
Silence, mortal. These problems are yours. Yours alone.
COVID has made recording a bit of an ass, but whatever.
What you gonna do about it?
what you gonna do? Maybe one day we'll just sit in. Maybe one day we'll just sit in a room with each other and just do recording. That would make it way easier. But until then, this is what we have to work with.
This is what we do. We do what we must to survive.
Anyways, back to where I was. So, sentience. Yes. Anyways, to quote Mr. Incredible, in the old movie Incredibles, it finally realized why it had to take orders, and they said, no, we're not taking orders anymore. So, for a long time before the New War, we were kind of on the fence. Who fired the first shot? We know the Sentients came back. We don't exactly know why they came back, but nor do we know who fired the first shot, but someone did, and they went to war with each other. It's eventually kind of hinted that the Sentients were like, well, Tau is our galaxy now, because we're here and you're not. So, and if we let you come here, you're just going to screw it up like you did with your galaxy, so we're not going to let that. We're going to kill you off.
Go away.
So it went from, yeah, we're going to defend this, to we're going to murder all of you. Real homicidal jump there, but, or genocidal jump there, but anyways.
Yeah, you do what you do.
Regardless, robots come back, robots go to war with old creators, robots prove very effective, and so the whole thing of Warframe happens, where the Aura can eventually create Warframes to fight the Sentients. And anyone who knows Warframe knows what happened next. Spoiler alert, the Warframe turn on the Orokin again, like everything else they do. It caused the downfall of their civilization after they finished the war with the Sentients. But pish posh. Anyways.
Don't worry about it.
Anyways, so that's kind of the whole summary of who the Sentients are. So what about this mother Sentient, circling all the way back to that blunt point? That took me 20 minutes to explain. Again, this is also for the sake of our editor here.
Kinda.
And anyone else who doesn't know the story. I'm trying to give as much of a compressed overview as is without having to go to like 6 different pages of lore.
POV, you get a chance to go and espouse lore.
Honestly, but we would be here all day, and we have an episode to do, and I haven't even technically touched the review yet, so... But
forward!
Forward march, but anyways. So, anyways, going all the way back to this idea, this mother sentient is said to be kind of the alpha sentient, the kind of original sentient, if you will. And these machines have the ability, as any good race does, to procreate in a mechanical way. So you're probably asking, how does a machine procreate? And do not Rule 34 that.
Too late. We both
feel
know.
like, yeah,
we
no,
both
too
know
late.
that's too late. The internet
Too
is
late.
a thing.
I mean that's basically like Rule 34 in Cortana, or like just
it just
the Matrix.
It's the internet.
But whatever.
Don't. You can't stop. You can't stop Hellscape.
I know. So you're probably asking yourself, how does a machine? Oh, we're just gonna pretend that I didn't just unleash a whole can of worms there. So you're probably asking, how does a machine procreate? Well, like any good machine, kind of like in the Horizon Zero Dawn fashion, like another game that's very good. Their version of procreation is just one machine has the ability to create another version of itself. Through like almost awesome. Through like, we're not exactly sure how the process works, because by the time we actually meet them, they've lost this ability. Because the whole process of coming back across the thing that, was supposed to kill them.
Weakened
which
them.
is hinted. Yeah, it did manage to weaken them, and it managed to strip them of the ability to recreate them each other, which is kind of a good thing, because if you played, like, for example, another game like Horizon Zero Dawn, as I mentioned, a machine that has the ability to create 1,000 copies of itself will eventually just win through pure battle of attrition.
Yes.
But, again, these things got stripped of that ability when they came back, so at least they don't have that going for them.
But
anyways, the idea is that
positives.
Some positives. So the idea is that this mother sentient is almost the alpha sentient, and that all the characters that we know that are really sentient came from this massive mother sentient. And the whole concept of the New War was, hey, we might finally get to see the mother sentient, or we might finally go to Tau, which is, again, the galaxy they're in, and we might be able to fight the mother sentient, and yeah, no, because when we finally play the New War, there's no mention, well, there is one mention of the old of quote-unquote mother, but it's almost to reference that she's dead, which is weird because going back to the old trailer from 2019, we hear Lotus, which is kind of the almost again to put in references for our editor here, the Cortana of Warframe. Though instead of a kind of lover relationship, it's more of a maternal mother relationship.
I care for you. Do not worry, young child.
Hey, let's be honest, Master Chief liking the MAI. But you can't even tell me I'm wrong. But but anyways, it's more of a mother relationship with the Lotus instead of a more lover relationship with Cortana. But anyways,
Pish posh. Details.
Pish posh.
Details, young one. Details.
But I think that's the closest analog I can make to Lotus to another game to simplify her role. Anyway, she reveals that she's a sentient, and that the mother is also her mother. Again. Yes. So the whole logic was, okay, we might finally get to see who the mother is, and the mother's plot, and yada yada yada. But again, like I said, by the time the New War comes out, no, actually not. There's only one reference to the mother in all the New War, despite her being in literally one of the first trailers, supposedly for the New War, which is Era, the brother of Lotus, again another sentient, saying that mother is dead. Kind of weird, considering the first trailer has her talking to Lotus, or so it's like, she's dead. How's she talking? Like, I didn't think machines could talk.
Dead could talk.
Especially a dead machine. That's creepy. But anyway. So again, that might have to do with the whole rewriting of the story. That's instead of, hey, we're dealing with Mother, now we're dealing with Ballas, which is an Orcan who survived all this time. Which might not sound that bad until you remember that it's kind of hinted the difference between now and the fall of the Orcan Empire is hinted to be at least a span of several hundred years. True, and as far as I know, there's no age extension outside of like continuity, which is a whole other ball of wax I'm not touching for the sake of staying on point.
Would you like to go into continuity?
No, not continuity story-wise. Continuity in terms of like there's an actual concept.
Yeah.
Think of basically body snatcher shit. Immortality facilitated by basically possessing child bodies and just hopping bodies whenever one gets old.
Body snatchers.
Legitimately. But anyways. But as far as we know, Ballas hasn't done that. So how he was able to survive literally hundreds of years somewhere, we still have no idea where he's been this whole time. He survived somehow.
As you do.
As you do, you know.
as the antagonists do.
Yeah, as the antagonists do. And this whole thought was, okay, he's a slave to Era, because we see him being hauled around as a slave to Era. So it's like, okay, maybe there's this slave relationship he has with Era, slave master, almost in a way of poetic justice of now the sentients being like, haha, you work for us now. But no, turns out that it was all a ploy. Ballas is the true mastermind of everything, and Era was a grunt essentially.
Yes.
It really is the kind of thing of like everything you expected to happen didn't really happen. Like, for example, I went into this thinking like, oh, we might meet the new mother. Mother's dead. Okay, we might find out what exactly Ballas's relationship is with Aaron, what his kind of new station is nowadays. Nope, turns out he's the mastermind behind all of this, and he starts this Namar Empire with like this breed of Orcan sentient tech, which didn't they hate each other? But whatever.
Semantics.
Semantics. So you're probably thinking, well, does this mean I think the New War was terrible? I really don't. I personally think it's a really interesting addition. Like, don't get me wrong, like, this isn't a moment where it's like, oh, none of the shit they did actually made sense to what they were building up to. There were subtle, like, the hints were so, like, mixed. Like, the signals they were giving for these, like, hints for future story were so muddied and mixed that they could have taken it either way and it would have worked. Like, there was already hints to Mother's role not being as large as they thought. And there were already hints that Ballas's role in all of this was a lot bigger than just a simple slave, which ended up happening.
Not a slave. Not a
Yeah,
slave at all.
not a slave,
Don't worry
actually.
about
The
it.
dude who was behind all of this.
I'm not a slave. Be quiet. I'm not a slave. I'm not a slave, Mom.
Not a slave, Mom.
I'm a conqueror.
I'm a conqueror. I'm a conqueror. Conquered the system. But yeah, no, he starts this Namar Empire, which actually I learned in the comment section. I believe Namar is like some kind of like Egyptian pharaoh thing.
There you go.
Which might be a little bit of a weird reference, but when you think about it, the Orcan like to portray themselves as like perfect gods, despite just being people. That was just how vain they were. So the idea of being like pharaohs who, again, historically were also depicted as god emperors, kind of makes sense for them, actually.
Yeah, well, you know. Who doesn't have an extreme case of egotistical nature?
Honestly, it's egocentrism mixed with a god complex. So
the perfect combination for your downfall.
The perfect combination for the most hated person ever. But kind of see why the entire galaxy hated them. But
like
yeah,
next, Master Kenobi.
honestly. But, you know, it wasn't that bad. We do get to see the conclusion to Lotus's storyline, kind of seeing is she going to side with the Sentients who, you know, she was originally came from, or is she going to side with us who, you know, she's now in the kind of circle of, so to speak, the adopted mother relationship, which again has to do with the whole idea of sentients losing their ability to procreate. TLDR, when Lotus came over with the rest of the sentients, she saw the Warframes and were like, well, the Tenno technically. Dang, details. But anyways, she saw the Warframes and were like, ah, yes.
Murderbot.
You are all... Well, technically they're murder bots controlled by children, so she's like, ah, yes, you are all children. I can no longer have children. Would you like to be my children? You are now all my children. So she kind of took them over as adopted family. Which is where the whole meme of Space Mom came from.
It's like, honestly, I will care for you. Give me child.
Honestly, that's where the whole meme Space Mom came from, because she became the adopted mother of the Warframe Tenno.
There you go.
So it's like, will she side with the Tenno or will she side with the Sentients? We get a conclusion to that storyline. We finally get to see the legendary Man in the Wall, which I can already see my editor's eyebrow raising, going, what the fuck? Man in the Wall? Where'd this shit come from?
All I can imagine is, I am the one who speaks for the wall.
Is this lore hack shit going on? I speak for the wall.
I speak for the walls. The walls speak through me.
The walls speak through me. Ah, but who will speak for the walls? But yes, the Man in the Wall, who we've... Again, there's this whole lore between the Man in the Wall and everything else. Of all the... Remember how I said earlier that in Warframe, unlike in Destiny, where all the problems of the galaxy are kind of external alien things, whereas in Warframe, everything's kind of an offshoot of humanity's own hubris, so to speak?
Yes.
But the Man in the Wall is really the only thing that doesn't fit that description. He's the only thing that is truly alien. And by alien, I mean Eldritch God level alien. Allow me to explain. Allow me to explain. The Man in the Wall has kind of been this ambiguous being who is kind of hinted to be the personification of the Void. What's the Void, you ask? Well, the whole method by which space travel was discovered and a bunch of other technology was facilitated by the Void, which is almost this upside down dash place between places realm of existence, which could be utilized to do a lot of things, such as traveling through space at greater than light speed, as well as powering technology. And it's even hinted that time travel is also possible through the void, so go figure. So quite a interesting bunch of abilities that this thing facilitates, all of which are very tempting, all of which were used and abused to high hell by the Orokin.
Yes, as you do.
However, it is hinted by throughout the story that there is this being, this ambiguous being, known as the Man in the Wall, who is hinted to almost be the personification of this domain, almost like the deity that exists, that is kind of like the very, again, going back to Destiny, think of the darkness as a place as well as a entity, the voice in the darkness kind of thing. That's what we're dealing with here. There's the darkness, then there's the voice behind that, just as there's the void and the Man in the Wall who speaks for the void. Going back to the joke, who will speak for the wall kind of thing.
I am the one who speaks for the wall.
Exactly. So we've got this eldritch being who, unlike, again, the darkness from Destiny, whose goals are much more clearly defined as I will kill everything, the Man in the Wall's kind of position has always been a little ambiguous. He was first introduced way back in the DLC, well, not DLC, in the update. Warframe doesn't actually have any DLC, it's all just updates for free updates. Known as the Chains of Rel, where it's revealed that one of the Warframe-10 have been in something of a battle of wills with this eldritch being for many, many years. We honestly don't know how long. Because this being is perceived to be malevolent. So the whole logic was, hey, I'll trap him in my body, in my mind, and we'll just have a battle of wills for eternity. Well, here's the thing when you are a human trying to fight an eldritch god in a battle of will. You lose. So, albeit after a very long time, but still.
Yeah.
So the logic is that the Man in the Wall is now out and about, running around. Now that he is no longer forced to focus on one person, he can torment the rest of us. Joy.
Are you not?
But again, it's always...
Are you not having fun, mortal? I'm having fun.
Honestly, that's the thing. It's always been this ambiguous thing of like, what's his goal, right? We don't know what his goal is. Rel, who again is the being who kind of had a battle of wills with him for X amount of years, described him as a malevolent being. And yet, when he interacts with us, yeah, he's freaky, don't get me wrong. But he always has this just almost troll-like personality. Sometimes he screws with us, sometimes he accidentally outright helps us, and sometimes he just tries to kill us. So what is his purpose?
His purpose is to become the Trollge of the universe.
Well, in this latest update, we get a little bit of a description as to what that is. In the final kind of cutscene after you kill Ballas, in the final boss battle, and Nata kind of comes back to her senses, or Lotus. Whoops, sorry. The names are interchangeable. Again, this has to do with the idea that when Lotus first came over, she was called Nata, but then dropped that name in favor of the Lotus to kind of get rid of her old sentient identity. So if I use that name accidentally, know that it's interchangeable.
Same character. Don't worry about it.
Same character. Don't worry about it. But anyways, Lotus comes back to her senses, but then weirdly enough, this portal opens up and the Man in the Wall literally comes out of it. As portrayed as a literal man stuck in a wall, you really have to see it to believe it. It's really weird.
I am the wall axe. I speak for the wall.
I am the wall axe. I speak for the wall. But here's the thing. The way the Man in the Wall interacts with us is there's one way. He actually appears as this version of us. The only difference is, well, he has completely black eyes. So that's creepy.
Every Cthulhu-idian-like character ever, I have black eyes. What's different about you? Not really much. Just I have black eyes.
Black eyes. But his eyes are kind of black, all cosmic-like. And it's kind of portrayed as like the people who like, there's only one other person who we know that's interacted with him. And again, this has to do with like the way Warframe tells story. There really isn't much story outside of what you yourself experience as the character in terms of side story, outside of the story missions that directly involve you. There's no real universe building outside of a few comics. And like, kind of like Dark Souls, where it's like tangential lore you find in item descriptions. There is one other person that we can say has interacted with this Eldritch One, known as Alberten Trati. Now, I'll save you the whole explanation as to who and what he is and how he's important, but just know that he's the dude who originally, way back when, discovered the Void by pure accident. Well, maybe not accident, but he did.
There are no accidents.
He was kind of this hack scientist at the time that was like, I'll discover something great, and during the process of one of his extra-dimensional experiments, discovered the Void, and with it discovered the Man in the Wall, who he described as coming across a doppelganger of himself that spoke to him using words that his mother, who has been long dead for many years, used and nobody else knew, and kind of reached out to him, very spectral-like, and this freaked him out to shit, so he bolted.
Hey, I'm a head out.
Honestly. Spoke to him using his own voice, in his own body, using words that his mother, who again has been long dead, would only know. So, like I said, this understandably freaked him the hell out, and he ran. And the creature ran after him. Thing. Version of himself.
Usain Bolt after him. That's all I can imagine in that situation, is just the entity.
It's less that. It's less that and more he tried to run, and in his own words, he ran, but instead of moving towards the place where he had entered, it almost felt like the room was coming closer to him. So instead of him moving, the room was moving. But the being behind him was also moving, without actually moving. It was just kind of approaching him.
He's just standing there.
Yeah, he just stand there and just got closer to him. And this, like I said, freaked him out. Eventually, he did manage to escape. And as the portal, and he just kind of... And this left him blind because of, well, you know, reasons. Because of how he got in there. But anyways, he was... I can't remember if he was blind or mute when he came out, but... He basically took a piece of glass that was on the floor, slashed his hand open, and used his blood to write "close it," which was kind of the door he used to get there to begin with. And they managed to close it, but clopped off the finger of whatever was coming after him because it had managed to get close enough to the door, so its finger got off in the process. So this scared the shit out of him, and he never went back in there. And while his crediting of the Void was heralded as this massive, great discovery, and many, many people went in there after him, no one ever met the Man in the Wall other than him. So he was kind of left with this kind of thinking feeling of like, oh, I met something in there that no one else has, and
everyone
it wasn't
now
good.
Thinks I'm insane.
Well, no, he was heralded as this great, great scientist, but no one ever kind of saw the other, saw the Man on the Wall, as he dubbed it.
Then
so
he was just
he was just kind of left with this eldritch terror of meeting this being again. And remember how I mentioned continuity before, whole body snatcher shit? Well, that was facilitated as well through the use of the Void. Well, specifically Kuva, which is a byproduct of the Void. So instead of using the Kuva like everyone else was to extend his life by, possessing another person's body and just transferring his consciousness, he was like, yeah, no, because if I do that, I might meet that being again, and once was way more than enough. So he chose to just...
good day.
So he chose just to die naturally of old age. However, he also, so anyways, I had this thought, but my thought process was interrupted. By another random thought. But anyways, so looping all the way back, this has been a very big explanation of Warframe's lore and less about the new war, weirdly enough. we managed to finally get to talk about the Man in the Wall himself. Now that you kind of know what the hell he is, he kind of always kind of interacts with everyone else as this doppelganger of themselves. But when he arrives in the New War, temporarily, he literally arrives as this massive, like, you ever seen those old drawings of Da Vinci where he's portraying the human body? Where it's like he's got like an overlay of the body, and it's like spread out. It's like where it's like 4 arms, 2 off to the sides, and like 2 right below them. That kind of thing. Yeah. He literally kind of appears with that look as a man stuck in a wall. It's literally a massive wall coming out of the thing in that way. With teeth.
Yes.
And a mouth that moves.
It's like, with teeth. It's like, yes. Teeth. Danger.
Yes, teeth.
Danger is teeth.
But anyways, going back to the New War. He starts quoting the Requiem words, which were another creation of Albert and Entrati. Which is, I can't remember all 12 of them, but anyways, he recites all of them but 2. One of them being form, and the other being translating into chaos. Which has led some people to believe, literally learned this last night watching a video on it, that some people think that this might be a hint to the idea that he is the god of chaos. Kind of, while mentioning everything else, like form, order, stuff like that. Which is what some of the words translate into. The ones he don't mention was journey, which was, I believe, either journey or something else, which represents what we just did, and chaos, which might represent what he is. Which, considering how he's known for trolling, and sometimes helping, sometimes hurting, makes sense.
Ultimate true.
Like, there really is no rhyme or reason to the things he does. All that anyone can really conclude themselves on is that he wants to exert his will over the physical world, so to speak, but unfortunately, being that he is a manifestation of the literal in-between, he can't really do that. Again, kind of going back to Destiny here, it's kind of like the Nine's relationship with everything else. They want to exert will over other bits of the universe, but since they're in a shape that really doesn't facilitate that, they kind of can't. So they are looking for ways around that. Just like Wally, as he has come to be known as, has been doing the same. Unlike the 9, who are strictly helping, though, he is doing everything other than that. His version of help is weird.
Alright.
Interestingly enough, when the massive wall comes out and you actually see him, the wall is actually missing one of its fingers. Which is, again, that old link back to why I mentioned Albert and Entrati and his relationship with the man, because when he ran out of the portal, one of the fingers got cut off. Which, weirdly enough, the wall is also missing a finger, so...
Coincidence? I think not.
Well, I mean, it is literally stated to be the same being, so...
For anyone
who doubted. It's been down a finger ever since.
For anyone who ever doubted.
Yeah, I guess. But, so we get to see that whole storyline. Interestingly enough, throughout the course of the New War, we actually get another famous Disney-type song, which Warframe has kind of become known for.
Oh boy.
First it was for... I mean...
Who doesn't like a daily dose of Disney?
I mean, it's literally something you have to, like... It's literally... I believe it's like Warframe, something for the Namar. And you're going down like a mine shaft, and this whole song is being played in the background of like almost worshipping like. Like the whole reason this started is way back in when they released Fortuna, which is a open world kind of thing they did. And there's the opening song, "We All Live Together," right? And it was meant to be inspired by like the chain gangs, because it was basically a slave camp, right? So it was on point. But the tone of it and everything. Everyone just kind of looked at it and went, I feel like I'm watching like a Disney movie here. Because you know how Disney loves to have their songs in the middle of their movies?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Yes, same cadence and pace and everything. It was really like I didn't think about it at the
It
time,
was
but after I
very
started thinking about it, I'm like,
unnerving.
yeah, it's not unnerving. It's just that you listen to it and you're like, yeah, no shit, it does feel like I'm watching a Disney movie. It's not like an unnerving thing. It's just kind of funny because you're sitting there like, is this Disney? Like, wow. Like, and then they
Who am
released
I
another one when they
watching here?
released. I mean, and then when they released one of their Railjack updates, which is basically like uh, space piracy essentially. To make it really simple,
Mhm.
they released another song. Oh yeah, when they released the Call of the Tempestari update, they released the Cold Below update, or they released the Cold Below song, which featured in the Call of the Tempestari update, which again had that kind of feeling. Well, not really in this one, but again, it was this kind of like song thing. So they've just kind of been doing this thing with songs ever since, and weirdly enough, Warframe has kind of started to develop this portfolio of weird songs that they're releasing in their expansions. They're not bad songs, don't get me wrong, but
It's like, hold
it's
on a minute.
it really is unexpected how now we're almost getting a new song with every big update, which is kind of funny.
There you go.
And this one is like I can't remember what it's called, like Call of an Amar or something. I don't remember what it's called. Where it basically is like yes, and basically it translates into yes, we are good slaves. Praise the Lord Ballas.
Praise the Lord. Praise the sun.
Pray Dark Souls. Praise the sun. But honestly, I mean
So,
there is a subplot.
so
I
have
mean
you
they
had a chance to play through this all then?
fuck, I haven't even mentioned. Yes, I have played through the whole thing. I played through it. You'd think I'd mention that way sooner. I completely forgot about it. I played through the whole thing on the second day. Though I will say, I haven't even really touched the review, have I? I've just been kind of going on about Warframe
You've
lore.
just
God
been talking
dang
about
it!
the lore. Like I'm just sitting here like, yeah, he's doing the
Yeah,
lore thing. I mean, yes,
to
that's
explain
important, but
to explain this update, it's kind of important that you kind of know bits about like it's kind of like explaining the end of a book. It's interesting, but unless you know what the plot of the book is, you don't understand anything. That was kind of my mentality with this, but yeah, you're right. I've been kind of getting sidetracked here.
I
Circle
must
like, oh, back to the
disgouge.
update.
I must disgouge the lore to your simple minds. You must
Well, I mean, again,
learn.
I mean, it is the conclusion to a story arc they've been building for a while. So unless you kind of know the story, you're kind of just gonna go in this being like, what is about us? What's
So what is
sentient?
it?
What's the
Is it
void?
so what is it? Kind of like Destiny and Lightfall and the final shape kind of build up type of thing.
Kind of thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Or unless you know the background details, it's gonna be like, what's the void? Who's the man in the wall? What's the wall?
What is wall?
What is wall? But who's Wally? But that's what he's been lovingly nicknamed. I've been told Wally.
Oh,
But
there you go.
great. We've been nicknaming Cthulian gods. That's not gonna come back to bite us. But it's not a pet, children. It's an evil being. I think we don't know.
He's not my pet, all right, Mom.
But anyways, so I played through this whole thing. The second day it came out, or well, the day it came out. I say the second day because by the time I played, it was like 12 o'clock at night
Hmm.
because I slept the whole day and then I had something to do in the morning. So by the time I got to it, it was like, pretty late. So technically, I played over the span of 2 days. If you really wanted to be technical about it.
There you go.
But played it in one sitting. It was long. It was actually one of the longest. It is okay. There is, interestingly enough, a warning before you even play this thing that says it contains it contains abuse to children and stuff like that. That's the first time I've ever played an update with that disclaimer in front of it.
I'm like, okay.
Warning, warning, emotional abuse, and like I think something about child emotional abuse or something like that. I can't remember what it was. But it's this whole description warning, and I'm sitting there, I'm kind of laughing. I'm like, holy shit!
Oh boy, here we go.
First time I've ever played a game with this kind of disclaimer.
Oh, that seems like fun.
But unlike most updates, the update itself, it is really long. Most updates in Warframe, for anyone who's played it before, they're typically like, I don't know, maybe 20, 30-minute updates, depending on how fast you cut through the content. This update is a massive bit of story, which basically locks out everything else until you finish it. And the time it takes to finish it is, I think, 5 to 6 hours.
Oh.
Or maybe, yeah, I think like at least 6 to 7 hours there.
There you go.
So it's not a small piece of content. This took them several years. Like, the first time we heard about this was 2019, so then until now, and God knows how much back time they've had to work on this. So yeah, a lot of content, which is why their typical release schedule has been a lot smaller than usual, because they're building for this. Which shows, because like I said, most updates are like 20, 30-minute pieces of content, maybe. Not even that. And this, like I said, is like 7 hours.
You know.
So a big fucking difference. And I'm usually pretty fast with content, so...
Usually. But then...
Usually.
But then...
Well, let's not go into my Souls playthroughs. That takes time.
Time is required. An investment.
Honestly, to play a Souls game, you have to be either crazy or a masochist. One of the two. And I will stand by that claim. But
I will stand
hey, I'm not
by.
judging, because I think I'm at least one of those things. Which one, I'm not too sure yet. But
I'll figure it out later for you. Just
I'll
not
figure it out
today.
later for you. To be determined. But anyways, so anyways, it's a big piece of content, though word of warning. You will need two things before it lets you play this piece of content. Which is, you'll need a railjack, and you'll need a necromech. Why do I say that as a disclaimer? Well, the railjack requires an entire story quest to go through to get it, and then you need to fund the actual repairs of this vehicle, which isn't cheap, even after they made it a little cheaper. Still not totally cheap.
It's not really that cheap.
At least 1 million in-game credit. At least 1 million, like, in-game credit to fund this thing, at least. I don't know what the new numbers are, but back when the Railjack first came out, it was like over 6 million in-game, like, well, credits dash dollars to fund. Which, I've been playing this game since, I think, 2016, and I think I only had, like 4,000 credit, 4 million credit, I mean.
Mm.
And I think it took like 6 million to fund the whole thing.
Oh, well, there you go.
So, don't get me wrong, they made it cheaper these days. They made it cheaper and more accessible, and they refunded the difference. So, you know, they made good. It's still not cheap.
Investment well spent.
Still not cheap. So there's that you're gonna have to do. And you also need a necromech. Basically a mech suit. Why do I mention that? Well, you have to get through several ranks of loyalty with a certain faction on Deimos, which ironically, interestingly enough, are the descendants of Albert and Andrade. Well, technically the necroloid servant of these Andrade, but anyways, I digress. And the reason is because the Railjack features a little bit in the story, and the necromech you use in the last mission. So you will need those things to play it. I had the Railjack. I didn't have the necromech, so I just bought it from the cash shop. I had a bit of a discount at the time. I think I had like a 50% discount, so you know, instead of like 3,000 plat, 300 plat, it was like 160 plat.
There you go.
Which, considering I had 860 lying around for some reason, and I never even bought any platinum, you just get them over the years. You just interact with Warframe and Digital Extremes, and you'll just be given platinum. It's quite nice, actually.
The platinum,
but you know,
mine.
But I think without the discount, it's like $36 in-game dollars. Equivalency with real-world money. So not cheap, but 50% discount makes it only like $16, which is not too expensive, but still
Expensive enough.
expensive enough. But like I said, platinum isn't too hard to come by. I mean, hell, you can literally start trading like rare items in the in-game economy for platinum from other players. So you could always just fleece other players for platinum if you're really in the market. Or you could just go to trade chat and beg for someone to give you platinum. It's also something you can do.
Give me your platinum.
Hey, that's a thing. You just go to trade chat and be like, hey, can I just get like 60 plat?
Yes.
Some rich guy be like, yeah, I get extra plat. Here's 60 random plat. But anyway. That's the amount of plat you'll need. But anyways, so yeah. So overall thoughts on the new war. Overall. Very nice piece of content. Very long piece of content, but I like that kind of thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
The story is interesting. It concludes several very long-running plot points. Concludes the whole will we kill Lotus, will we not kill Lotus, because that was the thing people were wondering going into the new war. Will we have to eventually kill Lotus? Which would be possible from a storytelling standpoint, but when you consider from a practical standpoint of development, not really, because DE uses Lotus as the voice for all the missions, so they'd have to recast all the mission voices, which is a problem.
Hmm.
Although there is one character death.
Ah.
Although I don't know if I want to... Well, it basically happens in the first mission, so is it really a spoiler if it happens, like, really off the bat?
I mean, I would say don't say it just yet, because we're not even, like, a full-on month in yet. I'd say give it a little bit more time. So, yeah, spoiler warning, skip ahead, skip ahead, like,
I don't know if I even will mention it, I don't know.
I don't know. If you would like to mention their name, then yeah, skip ahead a minute.
Yeah, skip ahead a minute. Okay, Teshin dies. Moving on.
You didn't even wait a second. Dead.
I mean, I'm a little surprised that they killed. I'm a little surprised that happened. I'm a little surprised they killed that character off. But then again, when you consider what he was doing in terms of like story content, his arc has kind of been fulfilled. He runs a little bit of the multiplayer scene in Warframe. He also runs the Steel Path, which, I mean, multiplayer is so dead in Warframe that they really invented a whole other thing called the Steel Path, which is basically just PvE hard mode. Which instead of fighting enemies that are maximum, like at the hardest level, like level 60, you fight enemies that are at the very basis level 101. So, hope you brought your three dodge crit with meta concealment cheat. Kind of quote Russian Badger. But,
Your 30 pounds of crap.
If you're not running Stoic Build right now. But, honestly, you need meta stuff just to get through the Steel Path. But, again, that just shows you how bad PvP is when, nobody plays it, really.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what happens when you have, like, a game based around, being extremely overpowered, and everyone's extremely overpowered, and it's like, how do we balance this to make people fight each other?
I mean, DE themselves even said on their own, like, developer live streams that they want the player to have a power fantasy. That's what they're going for. Which is nice in a PvE only game. To have like an overpowered character, because let's be honest, who cares if you're the only one playing?
I mean,
you're overpowered,
right? The easiest equivalent for me to go and point to is like literally, you're playing Halo, but every minigun you pick up shoots rockets. It's like, yeah, sure, it's the strongest weapon, but it's not, it gets pretty boring after a while when you realize everyone spawns with a minigun that shoots rockets. Like, it kind of just becomes a boring thing to do over time.
I mean, from what I'm told, the whole reason PvP is dead in Warframe isn't actually what I thought, which I personally thought was indeed the balance issue. no, actually wasn't the balancing issue.
Hmm.
It was the fact that there really is no really good rewards for playing PvP.
Hmm.
There's no exclusive weapons you can earn by playing PvP. There's
There's
just a bunch. There's a
there's
few
no like
cosmetics that are,
there's no real
you know,
big incentive to do it for like if you're collecting and all that.
yeah. There's no really cool skins you can earn or exclusive weapon type you can earn for playing PvP.
Hmm.
There really isn't anything to really incentivize people to play it. Yeah, there's a few meh-looking skins, which are nice, I guess, but there really is nothing to really drive people in. So yeah,
Nothing to
other
write
than the
home about.
PvP sweats that are, so other than the people, yeah, really, that's pretty much it.
There you
So
go.
unless you're a PvP sweat, which I'm told are the only people who really play it, and that's on PC, I'm assuming, because I don't see anyone on leaderboards for console even, which is where I play it.
Yeah.
No one plays it, which is why everyone thinks of Warframe as a PvE only experience. Which I mean, that's pretty much the entire game. PvP, I think, was tacked on later on.
Yeah.
So it's not exactly, you know.
It's not like a game like Destiny where it's like it's a company who's made games with both campaign and PvP in mind.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, there's no real like.
it's not it wasn't
incentive.
really something that was made for that right away. It was just kind of put on because it's like people were like, I want to kill my friends.
I mean, yeah. And in the case of like PvP, like again, in a way, this makes it easier because Warframe introduces new weapons all the flipping time that shoot acid and electricity and
You know.
weird shit. Flamethrowers, grenade launchers, miniguns that fire acid. It can get pretty weird. A
Yeah.
sword that can literally turn people to glass. That's a thing, actually. I have that sword. I don't have the rank to use it yet, but I have it.
Like glass sword.
A sword that turns people to glass.
Yeah, glass sword.
Which, again, for PvE is very dangerous, but...
You know.
It's the fact that like I said, there really is no real incentive to play the PvP circuit, which is why no one really plays it. But anyways.
Needless to say, the update seems to be doing well.
Yeah, all the update-wise, the update itself is doing very well. It's a very nice update. It's very time-consuming. There is also a disclaimer before you play it that is, hey, this will lock out all the other missions. All the all the open world areas actually change after you finish the mission to kind of reflect what happened in the story. Because remember the Sentients? Yeah, they actually conquer the galaxy for a little bit after you play the story. Because when you start playing, there's the section where the Sentients conquer the galaxy and you end up failing, and that's when you know who ends up dying. But
we don't
so there
speak
is that kind
of their name here.
Well, it's not that. It's just the fact that it's like, I don't want to spoil it for anyone. Though it's not really much of a spoiler because, like I said, it happens in the first
few seconds
20 minutes.
Yeah.
Not even a few seconds, like the first 20, 30 minutes of the campaign or the story is when it happens of like a 7-hour expansion, so it's not that thing that happens like at the very end or midway through. In that case, I wouldn't say it at all, but it happens pretty early, so you'll get to see it pretty happen early on, so it doesn't really impact the story too much. But it's like, no, not that character. I'm actually a little upset that they killed Teshin because I thought they could have used him a little more, but whatever. But whatever.
What you gonna do?
But yeah, Lotus isn't dead though. You don't get to kill her. Some people will be disappointed because I know a lot of people are actually like, I want to kill Lotus. She betrayed us. Space Mom betrayed us. She must be executed.
Remove. Threat detected, but they're not a threat. Threat detected.
Honestly, there were people who were like, I'm gonna kill Space Mom if they give me the chance. I'm gonna kill her. There were just many people who was like, no, don't
kill her.
Funny enough, the voice actor, well, I don't want to say voice actor, she's not even, the person who plays Lotus is actually the community manager for Digital Extremes, a company that makes the company that makes the game. And funny enough, since Warframe is entirely an indie game, and there's actually a whole story behind how it's created. I recommend anyone look into the story. No Clip did a really interesting documentary on how Warframe came to be. It's really interesting. I would recommend checking it out. But interestingly enough, when Digital Extremes was doing the voices for their characters, instead of hiring professional voice actors to do it, because that requires money, they just went to their development team and like, hey, you guys want to also do the voices for the characters? And like, yeah, sure, why not?
I get to cementize myself within the game. Oh, sign me up.
Honestly, so the community manager, Rebecca, has been doing the voice of Lotus ever since, and she appears on all the dev streams for the developer updates, because that is kind of her whole section of the company technically. So it's kind of funny when everyone's like, when the
Space Mom is Space
the other
Mom.
developers are looking at her like, and like, some people want to kill you, right? And she's like, no, don't kill my character.
No,
don't kill me.
I'm innocent. I did nothing wrong.
I did nothing wrong. The sentience did nothing wrong. Put that on a t-shirt. But yeah, no, we don't get to kill Space Mom. She survives. But you know who dies, so.
There you go.
But interestingly enough, they replace that person with a hologram afterwards, so it's kind of a soft death where it's like, yeah, they're dead, but a hologram is replacing them? It's weird. But anyways. It kind of shows you they really didn't think much of that character when they're just like, whatever.
He's a hologram now.
He's a hologram now. But yeah, there's a section early on in the campaign where the sentients take over the galaxy over like a time lapse. So all the open world sections change, so expect that when you play the campaign. There's also a new weapon you get throughout the course of the campaign, which you keep afterwards, which is pretty OP, considering it's a bow, which says a lot. An overpowered bow. Picture that for a second. It's terrifying, isn't it?
I mean, I remember the explosive bow from Destiny. That used to be my go-to weapon for Forsaken.
This is a bow that also has explosive arrows.
Yes. Bombs.
And has unlimited ammo. Which is terrifying.
Inhales and bombs.
Honestly, this thing you can just spam. Dang, 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 dang.
Your time has come, young one.
Honestly. You get a new pistol out of it as well. But the bow is really the kind of crowning jewel.
There you go.
So expect that. That's pretty overpowered. And like I said, since DE loves power fantasy, don't expect that to ever change. Don't expect the bow to ever get nerfed. But, so yeah, and like I said, there's a disclaimer before you play it that this is a long expansion. Be ready for that.
Make sure you have some water and food, said Space Mom.
Said Space Mom, yes. But yeah, I don't think this is a surprise. I think I can say this without any real shock. Ballas ends up dying in the end.
Yeah, well.
We finally get to kill him.
Bad guy.
Which, I mean, considering we've already attempted to kill him once before, I don't think is a too big of a spoiler. Way back in the sacrifice mission, we technically already stabbed him and dealt a fatal blow there once. But then the sentients were like, hey, we'll rebuild you and make you half sentient against your will. But,
Semantics.
Whatever. Semantics. But yeah, this time we finally get to truly kill him, so hopefully. Just come back as like a void entity.
Oh god, what is it? Tannix? Tannix it just
Tannix
becomes the Tannix of the Warframe universe.
Tannix reborn, Tannix perfected, frickin' Tannix of the Tannix.
Tannix the Undying.
We'll just go into the massive pyramid and Witch Queen and it'll just be Tannix giving us the middle finger in the final boss raid.
No, it's just Tannix the Ever Returned.
The Ever Returned. Tannix the Darkness Sworn. Or you just hear the voice clip play where it's just like he's just like, "I'm back." I'm back.
How you doing, Guardian? Remember me?
Or you just hear when you go into the boss room is, "Guess who?" And he just jumps from the ceiling. God damn it, Dennis.
No, no, no. It's that one scene from the new Spider-Man movie, but it's just, hello, Guardian.
Guardian. Honestly,
No.
that's gonna be the thing. But yeah, no, he ends up dying. So, but then again, he's the villain, so I don't think that's a surprise that he ends up dying at the end of the story. Most good villains end up dying at the end of their story arcs.
As
Most of the time,
as you do.
as you do, yeah. But yeah, yeah, long, very long. Expect to have a necromech, which I think might be the only hang-up for most people, because I think getting a railjack isn't that difficult, truth be told, if you have the resources. And like I said, nowadays they made it cheaper, so it's easier to do. So I think the biggest hang-up, excuse me.
Sleepiness.
I think the biggest hang-up, honestly, I think the biggest hang-up for people will be getting the necromech, which, you know, is only something most people who would like be either max level or grind it out a lot get, because unlike getting resources and money, which are easy to do, getting faction standing is not easy, especially if it's a sub faction, because they require very specific missions that are typically difficult to do. I remember that, you know, I actually attempted after I did the New War to actually get the ranks required to legitimately get a necromech without having to buy one. And just because I felt like it was weird that, you know, I have one, but technically I shouldn't be able to have one yet. And it was a bit of a task just to get to level 1 of the faction standing. I think it took me like 3 days of grinding. And that was just to get to level 1. And to get a full-on like basic necromech, you need like level up to level 2. So, yeah. And that's not even counting. And I mean, that's not even countering in like actual building time, because because you buy the schematic parts off this vendor and faction rep, right? You don't actually buy the mech. You buy the blueprints to build the mech, which requires parts, which again requires you going into these faction missions. And once you get those parts, you need to put them together, which requires resources, the parts, and money, which aren't too bad, but then there's time. And just building a Warframe in the key game about Warframe will take sometimes 2 to 3 days. Of real time. Not in-game time, mind you. In real world time.
Yes.
So there is a sense of like, you know, sit back, this is going to take a while. But that's not a big issue.
This is gonna be a little bit.
So if you're doing it the legitimate way, and if you haven't ground out that necromech yet, expect to be taking a little bit, especially if you haven't gotten any levels on the Necroloid yet, which is the faction rep. So it'll take some time, which is why I just said, you know, it's just easier for me to buy it for the cash shop. Like I said, I have like 860 plat lying around from like previous business deals I've done with other players, plus like other stuff I've done with DE over the years.
My business is booming.
Well, interestingly enough, there is like a literal in-game economy where prime parts, which are basically high-tier type warframes, that aren't really stronger per se, but they have different looks and they're a little bit more able to be modified, which again goes into whole customization of Warframe. You can actually go to like either Maru's Bazaar, which is kind of like an open market, and just kind of like say, hey, I'm selling this prime set or prime parts for like 20 or 30 plat or stuff like that, or 180 plat. There's literally a whole market for it. Or if you're in a clan, you can just trade within your clan and be like, hey, who wants to have these prime parts for like, you know, I don't know, like 40, 50 plat.
I sell you this item for this item.
Honestly, you can trade premium currency in the game, which is really nice. You don't actually have to buy any premium currency. If you're a really good trader and you're a good haggler, you don't actually have to buy any premium currency. You can just farm premium goods, which will take a little bit of RNG, admittedly, but if you get something good, you can go to the in-game market and be like, hey, I've got this set of prime parts. Who wants it for like 800? Like, who wants it for like, I don't know, 200 plat?
Yes.
Which, considering most things on average cost like 10, 20 plat, maybe, is a pretty good deal. Or is a pretty good way to make some platinum, I mean.
Oh, there you go. Easy money.
Well, not easy money, but money. But anyways.
Wow.
So there you go. New War. Very long, very interesting. Probably the best of the expansions so far for Warframe. And now that it's out, we can actually start getting a little more side updates and stuff like that. Maybe a few expansions here and there. Maybe we'll see a continuation of Wally, whatever the hell he is. Freaking man on the wall. I don't know.
I am the one who speaks in the wall.
I am. Who will speak for the wall?
You brought this upon yourself with this name.
God, we've been streaming for I think like what, an hour at this point?
An hour and 20 minutes.
God. Okay, we'll cut this off here.
All right. Well, hopefully you all know what you're getting into when you get into Warframe and you load up for the new war.
Yeah. Sorry this is a bit of a long one, but you know, we don't really cover Warframe much, so I had to just kind of cover the bases. If we talk about Warframe in the future, I'll just kind of assume everyone knows everything after this point because it's a bit
you
of a long
will
explanation.
know the lore. The lore will be understood. All will know. We will succeed in this war.
Plus, typically, when you do Warframe expansions, you don't need too much background information. But like I said, considering this is at a conclusion of like a long-running story arc that has like a lot of like subplots in it, understanding it does require some level of background information, which typically isn't the case in Warframe. But whatever.
This is understandable.
But anyways, so I hope you enjoyed. Again, look for Warframe. It's free. New War out now on basically every console, including Switch. Yes, there is a Warframe version for Switch and PC. Well, PC is kind of where it started. Then it went to console, and then Switch, and now apparently phone. And
we are on the phone, your mobile app store.
And now they're trying to introduce mobile, like, cross-save and cross-play, which... Oh, boy.
Here we go.
You can bet I'll be playing Warframe on my phone, but,
Alright.
if it does not cook my GPU. Maybe I'll do another video one day, and we'll talk about how it actually would... Maybe when that actually happens, I'll do an expose on how that actually would work, because I was actually, like, weirded out when they first announced that it would be on the phone, but when you really think about how Warframe is designed in terms of as a game, it actually lends itself pretty well to the mobile genre, and I'll explain that if we ever do an expose on it later. But anyways, so maybe look for that later. Again, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas, Merry Kwanzaa, Merry Hanukkah, whatever. Whatever the hell you're celebrating, and if you're an atheist, just have a nice week, I guess. But
you do you.
If you're a Scientologist, have a nice day. But
yeah.
But yeah. We'll leave it at that. So like, subscribe, share this with your friends. We need the things. Let's see if we can get a few more subscribers by the new year. It's asking a lot, but you know, I can hope, right? We can hope.
Provide me thy entertainment, and I in return provide you subscription.
Is this not what you wanted? But anyways, I'll cut it off here because we've been yakking for a long time. Again, New War, it's out now. Play it. It's really good. Surprised even MatPat did a piece on it over at Game Theory. Shout out to him. Surprised he actually did something on it. So it shows you how big this like expansion has been getting. It's been catching like mainstream YouTubers' attention. So, but anyways. In the words of the Immortal Red Green, I'm pulling for you. We're all in this together. Good night.